You came into my life at a time where I couldn't even possibly imagine my worth. I thank you now because you helped me grow. And although I never forget where I came from, I always remember where I'm going. And that's with you by my side. Because it's going to always include us standing next to each other and side by side. I vow to continue to inspire you as you have always inspired me. I promise to give you my eternal loyalty and heart, for you are the only man I would ever need.
Just weeks earlier, Lavinia Gardner had been glowing with happiness, walking down the aisle toward the man she believed was her forever. Their wedding photos told a story of love, smiles, laughter, and promises whispered under soft lights. But behind those perfect moments, small cracks had already begun to form, the kind that only love-blind hearts choose to ignore. No one knew that the same man who kissed her forehead that day would soon become her greatest fear. On April 16, 2021, those vows of "till death do us part" took on a horrifying meaning. As flames consumed her body, Lavinia ran through the streets, fighting for a life she had just begun to build. She didn't make it, the fire was too much. This is the heartbreaking story of Lavinia Gardner, a woman whose dream wedding became her darkest ending. This story takes us to Chicago, Illinois, a city known for its shimmering skyline, deep history, and endless rhythm of life. Yet, beneath the beauty and bustle lies a city of contradictions, vibrant but volatile, full of opportunity but shadowed by struggle. It was in this complex landscape that the heartbreaking story of Lavinia Vive Gardner quietly began to unfold. To her loved ones, she wasn't a statistic or a headline, she was warmth in human form. Born and raised in the South Deering neighborhood, Lavinia was known for her kindness, laughter, and the way her smile could brighten even the dullest day. Friends remembered her as someone who lifted spirits just by walking into a room, leaving behind a glow that lingered long after she left. Her joyful personality radiated on social media, especially on Facebook, where she shared glimpses of her life, playful selfies, lighthearted jokes, and moments with friends that captured her fun-loving spirit. Living in Cook County, one of the country's most diverse regions, Lavinia found comfort in her community, even as she navigated the fast pace of city life. Though she kept certain aspects of her past private, everything about her presence reflected her strength, dignity, and the solid values she had grown up with. Professionally, she worked as a customer service representative for America's Financial Choice, helping clients deal with financial hardships. Colleagues admired her calm under pressure and the rare compassion she showed toward every customer who walked through the door. By her early 30s, Lavinia had built a life that was steady and fulfilling, good friends, stable work, and a heart still open to love. But like many who seemed to have everything figured out, she longed for something more. Beneath her bright exterior was a quiet yearning, to share her life with someone who saw her the way she saw the world, with optimism, faith, and hope. She wanted a love that felt safe and real. Then, in the spring of 2020, she met Henry Taylor, a 35-year-old man whose confidence and charm made an immediate impression. Their connection wasn't the kind of cinematic love story that starts with fireworks. It began casually, a relationship built on attraction and curiosity. Yet over time the bond deepened. Henry's charisma drew her in, his boldness intrigued her. Soon, the line between affection and attachment blurred, and Lavinia found herself falling deeply in love. But love can be deceiving, and what shines bright at first can hide the deepest shadows. Behind Henry's charm was a man with a troubled past, a history of theft, vehicle possession charges, and time behind bars. Those details might have scared others away, but not Lavinia. She believed people could change, that love could soften even the hardest hearts. What she couldn't yet see were the warning signs, the quick temper, the flashes of anger, the need for control that occasionally surfaced. Henry often admitted he struggled to contain his rage, and his outbursts weren't just words, they were actions, reckless and destructive. Still, Lavinia stayed. She saw not the man he was, but the man she hoped he could become. Her loyalty was her strength, but also her undoing. If stories like this move you or open your eyes to the realities people face, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing powerful, true stories that deserve to be heard, and every subscriber truly makes a difference. Lavinia believed in love until the very end. She saw light in someone consumed by darkness. But sometimes, the heart that refuses to give up is the one that pays the highest price. To anyone scrolling through their Facebook feeds, Lavinia and Henry's relationship looked picture perfect. Their profiles overflowed with smiling selfies, weekend getaways, and captions filled with heart emojis and words like forever and soulmate. It was the kind of love story people envy, the kind that made others believe in happy endings. But, like so many carefully curated lives online, the truth behind those photos was far more complicated. Their relationship wasn't built on steady affection. It was a storm of passion and pain, constantly teetering between tenderness and turmoil. Behind closed doors, the couple's romance was marked by frequent breakups, tearful reconciliations, and explosive arguments. They didn't separate because love had faded, but because their love had become volatile, tangled in emotion and control. Each fight seemed to grow sharper than the last, and while apologies always followed, the wounds never truly healed. Henry's temper, a force that could ignite over the smallest misunderstanding, became the unpredictable center of their relationship. One moment he was charming and protective. The next he was angry, defensive, and impossible to reason with. Still, there were times when Henry was everything Lavinia wanted him to be. He knew how to win her heart again, and he did, over and over. He'd bring her flowers after arguments, cook her favorite meals, or leave handwritten notes promising to do better. Those gestures, tender and sincere, felt like proof that love could overcome their chaos. For Lavinia, they were lifelines, reminders of why she'd chosen to stay, of the man she hoped Henry could be all the time. These were the moments that kept her believing even when the cracks were showing. Because when things were good, they were really good. And it was those highs, the laughter, the affection, the dream of a stable future, that convinced her to give Henry another chance. On March 16, 2021, Lavinia took that belief to heart. Dressed in white, glowing with hope, she stood beside Henry and promised to love him forever.
You came into my life at a time where I couldn't even possibly imagine my worth. I thank you now because you helped me grow. And although I never forget where I came from, I always remember where I'm going. And that's with you, by my side. Because it's gonna always include us standing next to each other and side by side. I vow to continue to inspire you as you have always inspired me. I promise to give you my eternal loyalty and heart, for you are the only man I would ever need. I'll listen to you. I'll nurture you. I'll fight, but I will be true. I will always do my equal share, and I will vow to never give up on you. I'll try my best to fulfill your every need. I'll walk hand in hand with you, but I will always give you your separate space to grow. I'll tend to you when you're sick. I'll build you up when you low. I stand before our family and friends, and I'm gonna say this from my heart. From this day forward, I'm here. I'm right here. So you don't let go. You're my strength, my joy, my everything. And when you feel like the world is crumbling, look at me, because I'm your rock. I will love you, and I just want to thank you for choosing me. Because you chose me. I love you.
Perfect. Now don't kiss yet, you two, okay? Keep holding hands. When we look at the rings, we can see that they're formed into perfect round circles with no beginning, but more importantly, no end. As God intended it, when we place your wedding bands together in this fashion, they form the sign of infinity. May these blessed rings always be that reminder to each of you that someone else carries your heart and they love you just as much as you love them. I'm going to hand you your bride's beautiful rings here. As you recall, the band will go first as it will go closest to her heart.
Yes.
Then the engagement. Here's her hand here. Take your time.
That's a nice ring. You like that? Stop it. Yeah, your man gotta stop it.
It's so cute.
And go right ahead. And gently lift her hand there. Give her hand a little kiss there. We ladies love that. I love it. I have a ring for you, dear. I'm going to hand it to you here. His hand is here. Before you place that ring, I'd like for you to place your love inside the ring he'll wear for the rest of his life. And you go right ahead and place that ring right where it belongs. The beautiful promises in your vows, they are laced, interwoven into the rings that you are now exchanging. In fact, these are the first gifts that you give each other in your wedding day. May you always treasure your rings, like you'll treasure this moment, and like you'll treasure your marriage.
It was her dream wedding, the culmination of a love she believed could survive anything. But sometimes even the brightest dreams can cast the darkest shadows, and behind her radiant smile, a quiet sense of unease was already beginning to stir. They tied the knot in Las Vegas, the city of bright lights and endless promises, choosing its glittering skyline as the backdrop for what they believed would be a brand new beginning. The ceremony was small and intimate. Just a handful of close relatives gathered to witness Lavinia and Henry exchange vows. In that moment, surrounded by music, laughter, and neon lights, they both seemed certain that the worst was behind them. The air felt full of hope, and when they looked at each other, it was as if love had erased every trace of their past struggles. Their wedding video captured that illusion perfectly. Smiles that didn't falter, laughter that felt genuine, and a warmth that made it seem like they were finally stepping into the fairy tale they had always wanted. But what looked like a dream was, in truth, the beginning of a nightmare Lavinia could never have imagined. In the weeks that followed, Lavinia's Facebook timeline overflowed with the joy of a newlywed. She and Henry shared videos of romantic dinners, late-night laughter, and playful banter that painted the picture of a couple blissfully in love. Her friends commented with hearts and congratulations, unaware that those bright posts masked a much darker reality. Behind every smiling photo was a woman still navigating the same cycle of tension, apologies, and emotional turbulence that had always defined their relationship. The same cracks that existed before the wedding hadn't disappeared, they had simply been covered up by filters and captions. Then came a video that, at the time, seemed harmless. Just days before tragedy struck, Lavinia went live on Facebook, sitting beside Henry as they shared a seafood boil, chatting casually with their audience. To anyone watching, it was a sweet, ordinary moment between a couple in love, two people enjoying food and laughter together. But if you listened closely, there was something deeply unsettling beneath the surface. During that live stream, Henry admitted he had anger issues, brushing it off as what he jokingly called short man syndrome. The way he said it, flat, almost proud, sent a quiet chill through anyone paying attention. It wasn't self-reflection, it was a warning dressed as humor. And then he said something far more disturbing. With a calmness that felt unnatural, Henry began to talk about his past, saying he wasn't afraid of going back to prison, that he'd been there before and could handle it again if he had to. His tone was eerily casual, the kind of tone people used to talk about mundane things, not about life and death.
I got real friends, niggas getting education. Don't put me on your live, because I don't on them fucking ass on your page.
Yeah. Didn't I just give you?
I'll take a sip.
Didn't I give you 3% tax?
3%. Then this. Oh, you gonna take all my stuff?
I bought it. What about that one? That was your 3% when I bought it.
What you mean?
Your Pepsi. I bought you a Pepsi sitting right there. And I bought your icy.
Hey, my mans, you getting too loud. You getting too loud.
I bought you two.
Hey, you gonna have to speak to me. You gotta talk to me nice, baby.
Like this. I bought you two.
Yeah.
Bought you a Pepsi and an ice. Wrong.
Hey,
wrong, bitch.
Next time you get into it with somebody, you just calm it down and be like, hey, talk to me nice.
Talk to. Because I used to say that shit all the time.
Like, that scared motherfucker. Motherfucker be like, why is... Because I'm about to fuck. I really got anger issues because I'm short as fuck. I really have the short man syndrome, and I'll be ready to explode. Like, when dude hit our car, and I was like...
I knew
No, baby.
I knew I had to get out the car. This man hit our car, right?
I am so...
This guy truck too, by the way. But he hit our other car.
Listen.
This motherfucker get out the
Baby,
car.
listen, I am so peaceful. Why did I grab him
And start.
like...
I'm like, let me get out this car.
I'm like, don't make me...
Because we finna hit this man in the face.
What you mean?
Because the man was arguing with him.
Do what to
like
me?
we hit him. I'm like, yeah, let me get out.
I'm like, man, don't let me do this to you. I don't want to hurt you. You know what you mean, man?
Yeah, I really be saying crab up worse than this,
boy,
but I am on live, so I ain't gonna let y'all see how I really be eating.
I will go back to prison. And I ain't going for a fight. I'm trying to break your motherfucking neck. and then stayed at the scene of the crime.
That's why I like
Yeah, eat one of these shrimp, man.
no, but
Eat this
really.
motherfucking
So you
shrimp.
trying to kill me?
Then, with Lavinia sitting right next to him, he said words that would later haunt everyone who heard them. He had nothing to live for, and if someone ever crossed him, he wouldn't hesitate to take their life. There was no hint of a joke, no smile to soften the words, just a chilling statement spoken as fact. It should have been a turning point, a red flag too big to ignore. But in the flow of their conversation, it slipped by like any other remark. Maybe Lavinia brushed it off, maybe she had heard similar things before. Whatever the reason, she didn't take it as the warning it truly was, a glimpse into the darkness that was about to consume her world. In the days that followed, everything seemed normal. Lavinia continued posting cheerful selfies, updates about her day and videos full of laughter. There was no sign of fear in her eyes, no trace of the storm brewing just out of sight. To her friends, she looked happy, like a woman who had finally found her place in life. But appearances can be deceiving. Because on the morning of April 16, 2021, the fairy tale that once looked perfect would shatter into tragedy, leaving behind only ashes and unanswered questions. It started out like any ordinary day in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, where Lavinia Gardner and Henry Taylor were living at the time. Nothing seemed out of place that morning, but as the hours passed, familiar tensions began to rise between the couple. They argued again, and though no one knows the exact words exchanged, something in that argument finally snapped inside Henry. Whatever restraint he once had was gone. What followed would become one of the most horrific domestic violence cases the city had ever seen. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, Henry grabbed a container of lighter fluid. Lavinia was only a few feet away when he turned and began pouring it over her. The smell of gasoline filled the air as she screamed for him to stop. But instead of showing mercy, Henry pulled out a lighter, flicking it on and off as he threatened to set her ablaze. Lavinia begged him to stop, tears streaming down her face. She knew he wasn't bluffing. Then, in one devastating second, the lighter sparked, and the flame caught. The fire spread instantly. Lavinia's body ignited, the lighter fluid burning through her clothes and skin. In agony, she tore off the burning fabric and ran for her life, screaming for help. Her instincts took over as she sprinted to the bathroom, desperately trying to douse the flames with water. Somehow, she managed to extinguish the fire, her body blistered and charred. In shock and unbearable pain, she stumbled outside, naked and burned, running 2 full blocks through the streets of Chicago before reaching the Chicago Fire Department's Engine 81 station at 10458 South Hoxie Avenue. Pounding on the station doors, she cried for help, gasping that her husband had set her on fire. Firefighters rushed her inside and immediately began providing aid until paramedics arrived. Over 70% of her body had suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burn. She was rushed to Trinity Hospital, but her condition was so critical that doctors quickly transferred her to the University of Chicago Medical Center for specialized treatment. At the hospital, Lavinia underwent multiple surgeries as doctors fought to save her. Despite unimaginable pain, she remained conscious long enough to make a statement. She told investigators that she had always feared this day would come, that she had long believed Henry would kill her. Her words revealed years of silent suffering that ended exactly as she had dreaded. For more than a month, Lavinia clung to life. Her body was failing, but her spirit refused to give up. Family and friends surrounded her, praying for a miracle. But the burns were too severe. On May 21, 2021, after weeks of fighting through excruciating pain, Lavinia Gardner passed away at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Her death shattered her loved ones, but it also ignited a new mission: justice. Authorities quickly ruled her death a homicide. The evidence was overwhelming, and there was no question who was responsible. Her husband, Henry Taylor, the man she once loved and trusted, had become her killer. Police obtained a warrant for his arrest, and just 5 days later, on May 26, 2021, Henry turned himself in at the Rogers Park District Station. During his video-recorded confession, Henry admitted to setting Lavinia on fire. Yet even as he confessed, he tried to twist the story, claiming he hadn't been close enough for the fire to reach her. His words rang hollow, an attempt to downplay an act of monstrous cruelty. What he said next was even more chilling. Instead of calling for help, he phoned Lavinia's grandmother to tell her what he had done. It's unclear whether that call came from guilt or from a disturbingly calm acceptance of his crime. 2 days later, on May 28, 2021, Henry Taylor stood before a Cook County judge. He was charged with first-degree murder, a charge that reflected the brutality and intent behind his actions. Given the severity of the crime, the judge denied him bond. Henry remains behind bars awaiting trial. Much of the case's legal details have not been made public, but one thing is certain. No explanation, no excuse, and no apology can erase what Henry Taylor did that day. And while justice may move slowly, the memory of Luvinia Gardner, a woman who fought for her life until the very end, continues to stand as a reminder of the cost of unchecked rage and the silence that often hides behind closed doors. As the legal battle moves forward, the emotional wounds left by that horrific night continue to haunt everyone who loved Luvinia Gardner. Her family, her friends, and the neighbors who once gathered to celebrate her marriage to Henry are now struggling to cope with the unthinkable. What was once a story of love had turned into a tragedy no one could have imagined. In the days following her passing, heartbreak united her community. Friends and strangers alike came together to honor her memory and support her family through their darkest hour. A GoFundMe campaign was created to help cover her funeral expenses, and within days donations poured in, quickly surpassing $6,000. The outpouring of love showed just how deeply her story had touched people, even those who had never known her personally. A few weeks later, Luvinia's funeral took place. It was a day of unbearable sadness, yet also one of remembrance and love. Friends, relatives, and members of the community filled the chapel, their faces reflecting both grief and admiration for the woman they had lost. They spoke about her laughter, her kindness, and her strength. Many couldn't hold back tears as they shared memories of better days, of a woman whose light had once filled every room she entered. Toward the end of the service, attendees gathered outside and released dozens of purple balloons into the sky. The color purple, a symbol of peace and courage, floated upward, a quiet but powerful tribute to Luvinia's spirit. It was a moment that said everything words could not. They were letting her go, but her presence would never fade. Even after the funeral, the weight of her absence hung heavily in the air. Those who knew her struggled to carry on, replaying moments, asking what if, and wishing they could have done something to prevent it. But Luvinia's death, though devastating, did something profound. It started a conversation that had long been ignored. Her story forced people to confront the reality of domestic violence, the silent suffering that happens behind closed doors, and the urgent need to recognize its warning signs. Across social media, communities, and news outlets, people began speaking up, sharing their own stories, seeking help, and vowing to do better. Luvinia Gardner's life, and the cruel way it was taken, has become more than just another tragic headline. It has become a symbol of strength and awareness. Her name now stands as a reminder that love should never hurt, that silence can be deadly, and that no one deserves to live in fear. Through her story, voices that were once quiet have begun to rise. And though her life was cut short, the impact of her courage and suffering continues to echo, calling for justice, compassion, and change. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.